Well, I'm back. I'm not made up, no lipstick, no nothing, because I just took a bunch of notes about what's going on with the Charlie Kirk case, and I wanted to do a little update. It's interesting because my initial feelings on the case were that I thought the kid that they arrested for the Charlie Kirk shooting did it. I trusted the information. I'm not sure why. I think probably because I know that they haven't replaced every single law enforcement person that would have to do with this. And so there's a good portion of the information that I would believe. And I believed it up to this is the shooter. There are some issues with that. There's a few things. If I just picked up a lot of information from actually a comedian who said that he decided to do some research, and the stuff that he did research lines up with the same research I did. So I know this kid is not just being a comedian and telling jokes, but he did the same research that I did. He's making jokes about the things that he found. So he actually found these things and then he made jokes about them. And it correlates and corresponds with the same research that I've done. So I believe that he is relaying facts in this. So take it with a grain of salt because I just picked it up from a comedian who are truth tellers in this day and age. It would be the same as maybe a content creator on YouTube or something that you trust, something like that, but not, you know, official information and not stamped with, you know, the truth or anything like that. It all sounded exactly like what I thought and have discovered. So let's just get to it. At 8:30 a.m., Tyler wakes up. He grabs his grandfather's rifle. He heads to the school where Kirk is speaking. He walks around campus. You can see him on camera. Supposedly at this time he had the rifle on him, but when he's walking around on campus, he is seen in tighter jeans, no rifle hidden down his pants or anything like that. No, there was one piece of footage where you see him limping earlier where they think the rifle was in the pants, but later walking around campus, it's not around. And then the shooting happens at 12:23 where he's shot in the back of the head here, and it comes out his neck. Okay. It was reported that he was shot in the neck and that there was no exit wound. That's not true. There are videos, you can see the videos, you can see the entrance and exit of that, slow motion, the whole thing. A lot of the reports could be that wrong information was given to the person reporting. I'm not claiming that they deliberately put out lies as reports. You know, it was reported that there was no exit wound, and then there was. And it was also reported that there was no autopsy, and then it was reported that there was, and that the coroner actually said that, now he said something specific. I think he was the one that said no exit wound, engravings in the bullets, but that, I'm not at that yet. Right now, I want to say that they, after the shooting, they have footage of him running on the roof and jumping off. AI, we don't know. Looks, I've seen it. It doesn't look like AI necessarily, but it's just one of those bad camera views that's a little blurry. It's not perfect. If you have, there are other like footage from that camera where it covers the whole roof. But when they show you that bit, it's just the bit on that end of the roof where he's running and jumping off. But if there's a camera on the roof like that, this is a stationary camera, I believe, you would have captured him actually doing the shooting. Anyone who edits your videos, you know what I'm talking about. You can zoom in at different parts of the screen. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. Screwdriver. Okay, so their reason for him maybe not having the rifle in his pants is the assembly and disassembly of this rifle. They say that he grabbed it and did not disassemble it, but he had a screwdriver. And that after he did the shooting, they say that he disassembled the rifle after the shooting, jumped off the roof, and then ran into the woods. But at some point between jumping off the roof and running to the woods, the rifle becomes reassembled and found in the woods with sort of a broken scope. It can only be assembled disassembled, reassembled with a screwdriver, but he left that on the roof. So he had 2 screwdrivers in order to disassemble later and drop that in the woods, which seems unreasonable, but that he would have to have that. They could say after he jumped off the roof, he quickly and then threw the screwdriver 2 stories up back onto the roof, which I don't think any jury would believe that, but that's some excuse that they could give or have given. The rifle is so old that it had no serial numbers on it and was claimed to have been used in World War I and II. This 30-06 rifle. When he flees from the woods, he changes half of his outfit. And later he's seen at 6:30 in a camera at Dairy Queen. Camera footage. This could be AI, but don't know. I think they also claim the text messages that were released later aren't fake, but they truly appear to be fake. But we're not at that yet. There's these engravings on the bullets, which seems to be a new thing. The Luigi situation, and now the Kirk shooting. This kid Tyler, it's a 4.0 student. He knows things. He's not stupid, but the writing really, all of what they put out by him seems pretty stupid. He's writing, "If you're reading this, you're gay, LOL," on his bullets. That's also just odd. Okay, we have the entrance and exit wound. That whole thing is suspicious. They claimed the bullet was stopped. Okay, they did a lot of this claiming that there was no exit wound and that it was stopped by super, super strong bones. Gun enthusiasts know that a 30-60 can explode bricks. Just explode. Just destroy. So for the head to stop a bullet like that and have no exit wound is just completely impossible, according to gun people. I've seen this. We're talking about an administration that I'm not trusting, so I'm doing sort of behind the scenes, like sort of who are the most trusted people that I know. And so you'd have to believe, if you're watching this, that I know who's trustworthy and who isn't. And you don't even know me. So, or a lot of you don't. So I know it's hard. If you can believe me, then know that I'm a extremely critical thinker, and I will be suspicious until I get real. It's got to be real. You can give me all your theories, you can give me all your conspiracies, and I'll listen, but I won't believe you until there is evidence. You have to have evidence. Okay, so a lot of this is, that's strange, that's suspicious. Some of this is, that's impossible, that can't happen. But all of those things are separate. I don't say, well, that's impossible, so he didn't do it, and this is all done by somebody. You know, like, I don't then conclude things that I don't have evidence for. I just conclude this sounds illogical, or it's not lining up, and this is why, and that's how I'll do it. So we're just working through what we have here. The bullet being stopped by his head, based on gun experts, they say this can't be true. Really, they're putting their foot down on that one. And then just the idea that too many miracles are happening. Just all these, like, suspicious miracles surrounding violent events. Tyler was positioned in front of Kirk. Kirk was shot here. And it exited here. Tyler was positioned in front of him. But there was sightings of suspicious activity, movement, a possible drone in the area that would have been here, behind him. So there was a sighting of something that was like a drone, and then shortly after, this aircraft departed, and then there was activity with the radio waves or something when the aircraft was in the area. So that was all very strange as well. Very, very strange, everything. I know this is going long, sorry. I'm going to edit this down, hopefully, to make it more tight. But I'm not going to cut out anything I say, but I'm going to cut out some ums and stuff and try to tighten it up. Okay, the bullet, if he was shot here, but Tyler was in front of him, they might make an excuse or a reason that the bullet ricocheted. The text messages then come out. After all this misinformation comes out, well, we can get to that in a minute. First, Netanyahu tweeted pretty quickly after this that he didn't do this, and he denied being responsible for this. There's also a suspicious situation with Bill Ackman. If you remember, I got to know his name from a few months ago when the tariff argument started for the first time. Bill Ackman threw a hissy fit over the whole Wall Street tariff thing and got Trump to pause his worst tariff moves. That's how I heard of him, and I thought, oh, okay, one of these billionaires is stopping Trump from the tariffs. Maybe he's one of the good guys in the bad guy group. Who knows? Turns out, no way. Okay, so recently, he is very pro-Israel. That would be pro-genocide in Gaza right now, because that's what they're doing. So if you're pro-Israel, you're on board with that. Of course, the Israel people, they're not doing it. This is the Israeli government. This is Netanyahu. It's, we're not saying Israeli, the people, nothing about that. It's just these leaders, these billionaires are fucking the world right now. And that's who to blame. So don't start getting all racist against people and groups of people that are just like, what the fuck, about their own governments, okay? But Bill Ackman very much donates to Netanyahu's agenda and etc. He's not a good guy. They were trying to get Kirk to stop turning on Israel because Kirk was very pro-Israel for a while, and he started turning on them recently. So what they did was they got together with Kirk just a few months before the shooting and got him in a room, begged him to stop bad-mouthing Israel, to start being pro-Israel. They offered $150 million to Charlie Kirk, a podcaster, to do this. Kirk must have felt threatened and weirded out by the whole thing. It might have scared him enough to say no to $150 million, which he did say no to that. Ackman's intervention didn't work, and Kirk, he wasn't pro-Israel. He just started he was against it. The genocide. Charlie also wanted the Epstein files released. Wasn't going to stop talking about that either. And so now we have Trump, who's threatened. We have Ackman, who's threatened. Netanyahu, who's threatened. And then at this event, they had two fall guys. There's one guy immediately jumped up and said, I did this. They got him. They interrogated him for 2 hours. The guy ended up saying, I did that just to let the shooter get away. Okay, this guy that they interviewed, George Zinn, was at 9/11, Jan 6th, Boston Marathon bombing, and now the Charlie Kirk shooting. So who's George Zinn? Why is he at all of these events and jumping up and being a fall guy directly after the shooting? Yeah, I haven't done the research. This is just what I found out today about different things going on. This George Zinn, you can't interview him now because he was arrested for child porn. I guess they were going through his phone or his computer when they thought he had done the shooting, and they found child porn and they arrested him. So no interviews with him. We can't find out much more. And then the other guy, there was another guy that was dressed just like Tyler, and he was another guy who was somehow an obvious fall guy for him. I'm not sure exactly what he did, but they're saying that there was one other person that was dressed just exactly like him, seen on camera, and also somehow taking the fall. I didn't get the entire story on the second guy, but we've heard there's two guys, so when this one was mentioned, I said, yeah, okay, let me just write this note down on that. But I don't know anything about it. Tyler, he would be a third fall guy. So it could be that any one of them would end up being the shooter. There's a drone. There's something else that's doing the shooting. They have these three guys, and they're all told that one of you could be nailed for this. There's money in this. And this is the interesting part, is because the very first video I made about this was only the day after it happened, either the night it happened. I think it was the night it happened. And I said, the most likely thing I can see is that there's got to be money behind this, and that he and his family have been paid off somehow to get this done, to be part of it somehow. And that was my very first instinctual guess on this, and it turns out it still could be the case. Like, we have not debunked my own theory yet. Tyler gets he's the one that gets arrested then. Right before Kirk was shot, there have been people going over those hand signals that the two guys are giving behind him that are signaling things. They describe how these signals mean very specific things. Either there were two guys giving very specific hand signals behind him, or when we see in the video, there's two guys doing things with their hands that look like hand signals, yes. So you can take it however you want. I've seen it. Looks like they're doing actual, it looks like baseball when you go to, you know, like just, you make your little hand things to, you know, taps and this and that. And it looks like that. Yeah, it does. So now they release the text messages. They're not real. These text messages, if you are a thinking human being and read these things, you know they're not real. That's bizarre. That's Kash Patel. Now, they could have given this whole readout to Kash and he said, this is real, do with it what you want. And he said, let's release it. I don't know. Or I have heard that they are actually a transcription, which I mentioned in my last Kirk video, of texts. So there were texts and then somebody just wrote down what they basically were or what they were, but did it separate and then put that out. That's why the readout is weird. The names are weird. It was, the whole thing was very strange when I saw that. So no one believes it. I'm on board with not believing it, that the texts are real. And why they would do that, I really don't know. Along with all this other weird stuff, now we're really accumulating a lot of weird things, especially that rifle situation. It's too much. Okay. The way that they caught him, Tyler was turned in by his dad. Okay. Here's the thing about being turned in this particular scenario. There was a reward, and this reward was for $1.2 million, and it was offered by Bill Ackman. So the dad turned his son in and collects $1.2 million after Bill Ackman spent a lot of money and time trying to beg Charlie to stop bad-mouthing Israel. That's a good suspect. That's a good suspect. Should look into that a little bit more. And then, of course, Trump, who does not want the Epstein files released, as do many people not want the files released. So he also could have known about it and approved it or arranged it as well. Who knows? I don't know. This Ackman guy, just obsessed with supporting Israel. So I don't know if that's an update or a recap, because a lot of it is what I guessed was going on. But it's kind of like this comedian's out there and did all this research for me and I didn't have to do it. I know, that's pretty pathetic. I like it because it's what I was thinking initially. What's starting to kind of come out in your regular research that you do as just a regular person, not a cop or anything, just Googling stuff and watching everything you can, reading everything you can on it. This guy did that and he's coming up with the same stuff I was thinking probably happened. So I just want to get on and say, it looks like this is the right track. These things I've seen, all of what I just said, pretty much I've seen in one way or another somewhere. And I know that there's a lot more. So when I find out more, I'll come back and I'll give you all sides. I'll tell you where one person says this, but this other person counters with this. And I would tell you both. I have no, I mean, I just want to know what happened. I have no money in this game or whatever the saying might go. And I do want to nail these guys in their lies when they try to spin a story. I cannot stand spin. Never been a fan. I just want to know the boring facts, the simple, reasonable explanation, which there is. Once you have all the facts, it becomes simple because now you understand it. When you're getting stuff like this, it seems complicated because it doesn't make any sense. But it's not complicated. This was planned by somebody, executed by somebody, and is now being dealt with by somebody. We're going to get to those facts somehow. And sometimes it just takes time. Again, we're just still hoping we go more in the direction of peace and calm than the very scary things that could be happening, the way that we could be going. Paying off police departments to get away with their crimes, all sorts of propaganda in order to normalize their crimes. And they've already started arresting innocent Americans who have done nothing wrong, children. I'm hearing terrible, terrible things about what's going on in my area, around here, even next door. There are 20 police officers next door. It's just arresting one Spanish guy who was nonviolent, like sitting there calmly talking to him beforehand, and they need all this. It's very dangerous and it's very terrifying. They're putting together a computer base where they can look at all of us and see if we're Democrat, see if we're saying bad things about Trump, and then they can come and arrest us, and no one's going to stop them. So it could be me, it could be any Democrat, it could be anyone they mistakenly thought was a Democrat just because of the color of their skin or something. And they're going to do it and not be in trouble for it. Every single law that's been broken, we have to go after. We're going to have to do that. And this immigration stuff is important to follow up on everything that ICE has done, and we have to dismantle ICE. There is no need for a group called ICE in our country. No need. It's not good that the process takes a long time, because now if they are out there committing crimes, how would we know to look them up? How do you follow this person? They would just disappear and not be found because they don't have documentation here yet. So I would like to step up the process to get people legal here, and not step up ICE to just abuse and destroy people. That's not that's a different than the Charlie Kirk subject, so let's just leave it there. I'll see you next time, and we'll break down another little piece of news. And I hope you all have a great night. Bye.